Here we have a front and side view of our animated cyclist, and this is in the bullhorn position on the bike. Notice the elbows are slightly bent. You have the appropriate amount of bend in the knee at the bottom of the pedal stroke, as you learn in the Bicycle Fit segment of this educational program. It's also very easy to see with this standard riding position where you would be on the tops of the bars or the hoods, or in this case on the bullhorn portion of the bar. And that is simply because it's not just your head and shoulders breaking through the wind to create your aerodynamic advantage, but when you are more upright like this, it is your head, shoulders, chest, and even part of the abdomen that all make that first contact with the wind. More surface area, more drag, slower speed. On the other hand, you have ease of breathing and perhaps more control of the bike as well. Here we have the front on and the side view of flat road cycling out of the saddle. Just a few key points here. One is that you want to make sure that your weight distribution remains 50-50 unless you're just accelerating for a moment and then you come back to that position. Your hips should be just slightly forward of the nose of the saddle. Always keep the elbows slightly bent. Remember to keep the heel down in its appropriate position and drive all that energy through the ball of the foot so it transfers to the axle of the pedal, maintaining power and pedaling efficiency. And here we have the front and side view of the full aero position in the aero bars. Ideally, the cyclist's back will be flat, parallel with the ground, maximizing aerodynamic efficiency. However, there is something you always have to consider, and that is, in the attempt to gain aerodynamic efficiency, are you losing mechanical efficiency? Here we have the front and side view of the full aerodynamic position in the aero bars. Ideally, you want to get the back as flat as possible, parallel with the ground, to maximize aerodynamic efficiency. However, you have to consider, when you increase aerodynamic efficiency, are you decreasing mechanical efficiency? Sometimes, if the cyclist's eyes have to look too far up, or if the head is wrenched up too far, even though the body is in alignment to increase aerodynamic efficiency, it is very likely, it's very possible that you can reduce mechanical efficiency to a greater degree than you are gaining aerodynamic efficiency. So it's very important to not only test aerodynamics, but also determine what is the amount of watts of energy, what is the output, how much power is actually being transferred to the pedals while you're in the aerodynamic position. Even if aerodynamics are lost to some degree, there may be such a greater gain in mechanical and biomechanical efficiency that the choice is made to decrease the aerodynamics and yield a better result of greater power output and therefore higher speeds. Here we have our cycling animation climbing a hill. There's a few key points that need to be noted. First of all, the steeper the hill, in general terms, the more you will lean forward when climbing out of the saddle. Sometimes people get the tendency of pointing their toe too much in the climb, and this drastically reduces mechanical efficiency. Always remember, when you're working with your clients, to encourage them to keep the heel down, driving through the ball of the foot over the axle of the pedal, and think about spinning circles. Oftentimes inexperienced climbers are focused on the quadriceps, pound, 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 like pistons, and to a degree there's some truth to that, but as we know, it has to be a fluid circular motion utilizing the glutes, the quads, the hamstrings, and the entire lower leg as well. In general terms, the steeper the hill, the more you'll rock the bike side to side. As you look at the animation from the head-on view, the body weight comes down over the foot that is on the downstroke of the pedal cycle. When you're climbing a hill, you always want to keep your body weight, your center of gravity, right over the bottom bracket. So if you were to draw a plumb line from your body down through the bottom bracket, you want your center of gravity to be directly over the bottom bracket at all times, regardless of the steepness of the hill, and that's what's going to allow you to drive more of your energy directly into the pedals, turning the wheels. Unless a hill is very short in duration and not very steep, you will not be in the aerodynamic position. Why is this? Well, for one, it is very likely that with a steeper climb, especially one of a longer duration, your speed will be slow enough that aerodynamics will not even be a consideration. Instead, your focus is on easily filling the lungs, becoming comfortable, easing your breathing, and allowing the diaphragm and the abdomen to relax appropriately so you can get deep, full breaths. Analyzing your client's cycling form on a turbo trainer provides you insight to their habitual behaviors, which may be allowing for success or decreasing their performance. You can see here our male cyclist has a very smooth pedal stroke. The heel is down as it should be. And then you see some variances of a more of a splayed knee, obviously decreasing aerodynamic efficiency considerably. The wide stance obviously shows misalignment, and so does the narrow knee position here. Some people may do this because they feel it creates an aerodynamic advantage, which it may, but over time it will also decrease efficiency and could lead to injury. And when you see this unilateral, this asymmetry, that could be cleat misalignment, hip or knee injury, or structural imbalances as well. And here you see excessive pelvic rocking. These are all things you need to be aware of as you're coaching people. And then the head and shoulder movement. Now, obviously this is going to happen as the cyclist gets more fatigued, but it's also redirecting the energy outward and not through the pelvis, through the thighs, to the knees, to the ankles, and then finally to the pedals. And then here you have excessive toe pointing as well. You know, we want to drive through the foot rather than pointing your toes. It's very inefficient. So as you descend, you have a choice. If you're going for maximum speed, you can of course get into the aero bars into a full tuck position. But depending on where your brakes are located, you may or may not have immediate access to the brakes. When your hands are wider, they're on the brakes, of course you're going to be safer because you can react more quickly. And your hands being wider, you have a wider base of support and stability, especially descending around a corner. However, you compromise speed. So you have a choice. You either get in the aero position and go for it, or you stay a little wider and compromise some speed for safety. So it is dependent on the environment, your skill level, and if drafting, for example, is allowed in the race, which is going to increase potential dangers. Many triathlons offer an out and back cycling course, which means at some point there'll be a sharp 180-degree turn. Races are often won or lost in these turnarounds. Here's an example of a very smooth 180-degree turnaround. Now, although she's not going very fast for this demonstration, you see it's very smooth. There's very little momentum that is lost. And the exit of the turn is also smooth, and she's quickly back up to the speed that she was at before going into the turn. here you see it more of a rapid acceleration out of the turn, which can be advantageous, or it could be a waste of energy if in fact it was easier just to maintain the momentum and be smooth throughout the turn. On this approach to the 180-degree turnaround, there's some hesitation, and then a delay, and then finally an over-exaggerated response to try to make up for lost time. And here we have an example of an extreme novice cyclist, which is likely someone who you will be coaching. And they felt the need to click out on the inside foot just in case they were to tip over, and then of course the exaggerated response to try to get back up to speed afterwards. And now we have our male cyclist coming into the 180-degree turn. Very smooth. For a moment his outside knee was locked, which is something that you'd want to avoid. Gliding through nice and smooth and fluid, pausing just for a moment as you came around the corner, and then right back into his cadence. Coming out of the aerodynamic tuck is going to decrease aerodynamic efficiency, but can improve stability and confidence going through a corner at higher speed. Now here you see two people just easily rounding a corner, showing courtesy to each other. And here you see someone who made a move in front of the inside cyclist. However, they lost momentum just afterwards, which disrupts the flow around the curve. Here you see someone who got cut off to the point where they actually had to go up on the sidewalk, and if there hadn't been the wheelchair accessible corner, that person would have crashed. If drafting is allowed, you want to make sure that you don't overlap the wheel coming into the corner. That is an invitation for an accident. Here we have two different techniques for climbing a hill, where one of the cyclists is rocking a little bit more, getting the body weight over the bike to push down on the downstroke, and the other cyclist is holding steady and driving up forward. And both of these techniques can be efficient. It just depends on the steepness of the hill, the gear selection, and of course the individual riding style. The cyclist on the left, you can see, is overly exaggerating the upper body motion in an attempt to get more power transfer, but by over exaggerating the movement, including this side to side you see here, when it's done excessively, it's actually incredibly inefficient rather than transferring that energy to the pedals. As you transition from a flat to a climb, it's essential that you transition smoothly and evenly to maintain that energy that you've built on the flats without overexpending yourself to try to get over the hill. Most frequently, you will shift the rear derailleur and make the micro fluctuations in the number of gear inches prior to making a larger shift from the large to small chainring. It's also essential that you do the transition from a seated climb to a standing climb smoothly so you don't lose that energy, and then shifting back and forth between seated and standing again and again has to be done smoothly and effortlessly, regardless if shifting is required. As you crest a hill, you want it to be as smooth as it was when you began the climb. And again, you have two choices. You can get out of the saddle and get some more energy to crest the hill so you have more speed on the descent, or you can stay in the saddle and smoothly transition into the full descent. The decision is likely dependent on the duration of the event. If it is a sprint or international distance race and every single second matters, you will likely want to sprint over the crest of the hill. However, if it's an ultra distance event, it's more likely you'll want to just settle into that smooth rhythm and maintain that groove that you've locked into for the duration of the event.
Okay, let's measure Belinda for a bicycle today. Okay. Belinda, you ready? We're going to get close, Belinda, with your inseam measurement. Pull it up till it's all the way snug. Most important measurement right here on the bicycle fit. Snug, Belinda? Uncomfortably snug?
Not uncomfortably.
Does it feel like a bicycle seat going down the road? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, so Belinda's inseam is 82.1 centimeters. Hop off, Belinda. We're going to measure Belinda's torso. Second most important measurement on the bicycle. With this device, we're going to measure from Belinda's inseam up to the notch right here on the top of her chest. And this is 63.2. Okay, we have Belinda's measurements. Now we're going to take a look and see how she positions on a bicycle with those measurements. Our most important spot to start with is her knee bend here, foot reach down to the pedals, and hip angle on the saddle. So we're going to start out Belinda pedaling a little bit. Slow rate of speed, Belinda, get warmed up. Most important area on fitting a bicycle is getting somebody warmed up, getting them loose, getting them in a comfortable riding position to start out with. Okay, Belinda, slow down your pedal stroke. We're going to come down to the knee angle. We're going to take her heel, bring her all the way to the bottom of the pedal stroke, stretch out her leg. Contrary to popular belief, your leg does not want to be fully extended when you're on the bicycle. You want a 30-degree bend in your knee. The only way to truly fit a bike is with a goniometer, which any physical therapist will tell you is important. Okay, we're going to shoot for a 30-degree bend in the knee from the side. Right now, Belinda is at 24 degrees on her knee. What happens when you're too high? Your knee is hyperextending, IT band problems, rolling in the saddle, foot not getting proper power placement. Belinda, go ahead and stand up on the pedals. We're going to drop your seat a little bit. Dropping her seat down an inch. Okay, sit back down, Belinda, and start pedaling slowly. Going to pull Belinda's heel down to the bottom of the pedal stroke. Measure knee angle. Right now, her leg is still below 30 degrees. So we're going to have Belinda sit up again on the pedals. KB, sit down. So we're going to pull the leg down to the bottom of the pedal stroke. Heel level with the ground. Leg relaxed. Take the goniometer. Measure knee bend. Knee bend should be 28 to 32 degrees with the foot at the bottom of the pedal stroke.
Okay, that's good. Now do that.
Let's relax the leg. Pull the leg back up to a 9 o'clock position. Plumb bob off the front of the knee, dropping down over top of the pedal spindle through the ball of the foot. That position there. Okay, Belinda, let's have you pedal on the bike. Slow down your pedal stroke. When you come around to the front, I'm going to slow down your heel, 9 o'clock position, and we're going to check to see where your knee alignment is over top of the pedal. Dropping a plumb bob from your knee right down through your foot, over top of the pedal spindle. Pedal spindle should be aligned underneath the ball of your foot. So right now you're too far forward over the front of the pedals. So we're going to have you hop off of the bicycle, Belinda. Belinda, we're going to slide your seat back 1/2 of an inch and pull you over top of the pedal spindle. This is the second most important spot in positioning, is getting your knee over top of the pedal as you come through the stroke. We're going to loosen up the saddle evenly on both sides. Slide the saddle back. Level the saddle back off. Okay, Belinda, hop back on the bicycle. Okay, Belinda, we're going to slow down your heel as you come around the 9 o'clock position. Drop the plumb bob down to the pedal spindle. You can see now that she's pulled back over top of the pedal. Let's have you hop off the bicycle again. Okay, let's demonstrate the difference between two body builds, male and female, and what would happen if you borrowed a friend's bicycle to do a race. So first thing is the difference, kneecap height. Femur length, hip position, shoulder height, and the arm reach. So if Ian says, I'm doing a race this weekend, can I borrow your bike, Belinda? We're going to see in a second what happens when he's on it. Okay, so see what happens if Ian borrows Belinda's bike to do the race, where his body's positioned out. Drop your arms down to the aero bars. He can't ride the bike. His knees are hitting his arms. His leg isn't getting extended. Try and reach onto the aero bars, Ian. Pull your arms back like you normally would. He's got to slide his back off the back of the saddle, and with every pedal stroke, he's hitting his arms. Okay, go ahead and hop off. You don't fit Belinda's bike, that's definite. Okay, now we have Jan in the proper position. Ian, keep pedaling. It's on the right size bike, coming through the pedal stroke. His leg is dropping all the way down. Knee has a 30-degree bend on the bottom. Knee comes over the front of the bike. Knee is right over top of the pedal spindle. Drop down. He can drop his heel when he climbs on the bike. His arms are underneath his shoulders. Start pedaling again, Ian. Hip isn't getting crunched on the top. Let's see his back where his arms are rolled over the front. He's got a nice bend in his back. We can even drop you lower on the aero bars on the front, Ian. So we're going to watch Ian's pedal stroke from the front. You can see how his knees come up inside his elbows. They're coming close to the top tube. His body's staying relaxed. Upper body is smooth through here, not shaking side to side. Hips are in line with the front of the bicycle. He's not weaving the bike going down the road. No excessive pulling or jerking on his arms. Nice and calm and relaxed. All his power is going to the front on the bicycle. Head staying still, going forward in line with his body. Continuous, even cadence. Everything's going really even on the bicycle. Okay, so we're going to measure for handlebar width on the bike. That point is based off of your shoulder spread. We're going to take a tape measure, go right to the top of the arms, right where the bend is. Belinda's width is 39.1 centimeters. Sure, Ian, top of the arm, out to the edge. And Ian is 46 centimeters. Okay, go measure forearm length for aero bars. Grab a hold of the rod in the palm of your hand, hold it tight. We're measuring right to the elbow point to where the ulnar is. 32 centimeters on Belinda. Ian, grab the bar, relax your wrist. Right to the ulnar, 36 centimeters. So this aero bar is too long for Belinda's forearm reach. You can see where her elbow is positioned on top of the bar pad. To reach the shifter, she's grabbing all the way out to the front. What will happen when Belinda's riding down the road is vibration is going to go up through the bottom, hit the ulnar nerve, and she's going to have a sore shoulder. She's going to migrate to the back to get away from that, but then she'll have no control of the bike. So she'll be back out in the front again, getting vibration underneath her arm. So we're going to put the right size aero bar here. Go ahead and grab that, Belinda. At this point you can see 2 fingers, an inch of her elbow is hanging off the back of the aero bar pad. So when she hits something in the road, instead of the shock going up her ulnar nerve, the shock is going onto her forearm, and she can move her body as a shock absorber. Okay, so what we're going to do is check the fit of your shoe, Belinda. We want you to have a little bit of room across the front here so your toes can wiggle. Your foot can swell in this area, that your heel is snug, not too loose that it lifts all the way out. So it's pull on your heel, that's nice and snug there. We have room on the side here to tighten down the shoe more if she needs to when she climbs. You can see where the side of her foot is right there above the cleat. Push up on your big toe and wiggle your toes around. Can you wiggle your toes around without bumping the top? Does it feel comfortable in there? Okay, and so let's show what happens when we have a shoe that's one size too big on. It's not the same as a running shoe. A cycling shoe needs to be snug and your foot is not going to stretch out too much. During a race, your foot might swell up to a half a size, but that's it. Okay, and go ahead and lift up on your heel. You can see the amount of room that her heel has to flex up and down the foot. So what happens on a clip-in pedal, you're attached at the bottom. When you pull going up a hill, your foot's moving up and down. Loss of power and blistering. When we stop moving your foot. When we try and tighten down the shoe on the side, we're going to run out of room on the strap. The shoe still won't be snug. We have a lot of extra material up here on the front. so her foot can roll side to side. Getting the cleat positioned properly will leave her toes too much room in the front. Her foot's going to slide back and forth in the shoe. Eventually the shoe is going to start to rotate side to side underneath of Belinda, and she'll have knee problems. Let's put on the proper size shoe again. Pull up with your heel. You can see we're going to tighten down the strap. Control movement. Pull this strap snug there, side to side. Rotate your foot. Everything's snug there. That's a properly fitted shoe. So we're going to position the cleats on the bottom of the shoe. We need to find out where the ball of your foot is so we can have the cleat positioned above the pedal spindle in the right spot. So we're going to run our hands down the side. Make sure the shoe is snug, held tight. Find right where the protrusion is on the side of your foot. Put a little mark there. Our hand on the inside. Same thing on the inside, and then do that with the other shoe. Okay, positioning the cleat on the bottom of the shoe, we've marked the side of the shoe with our line right there. We're going to transfer that line across the bottom. Draw a line there. As we see with the existing cleat, this puts your foot in the center point of the cleat spindle. Power is going directly down to the pedal. Position the cleats fore and aft to the back in the same point with a new pair of shoes.